bam, they hit the walls. I walk in, everybody jumps. I walk in, and I just look at Mark Burdett, and I said, let me tell you something, buddy. Let me tell you why you should put me on your little television show. When you make an investment in me, you get back 100 times what you invest. And I reached in my pocket, and I pulled out a bag of M&Ms, and I threw them in his face, and I walked in. Door shut, laughter on the other side, and I was like, got it. Yeah. And the reason I tell that story is because risk evaluation. Currently where I sit is I'm dead. I'm done. I just cooked myself in that room. So my downside is zero. My upside is this dream opportunity. So I have the choice to go make one balls out moment that they're gonna remember forever that's gonna get me on this show. And my little M&M rebellion accomplished both of those things. So yeah, I went up there and they said, I went from walking resume guy to here's a dude that's gonna make some ratings.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Disruptors, where millionaires are made. Today we have John Gafford with Simply Vegas, and John flew in from Vegas to share how he built a $2 billion company. Now guys, I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. The information on the show alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you'll take consistent action, you will become one. And guys, if you're already a millionaire, we want to recognize you here on the show. Please scan that QR code. Likewise, if you need some help getting there, scan that same QR code as well. And before we jump in, if you're here to learn how real entrepreneurs are building real empires, please hit that subscribe button because you might hear something that will help you build your first or next million. And guys, right now you have 100,000, 250,000, or even more sitting in your CRM, and you can resurrect all your old and dead leads with our objection-proof AI calling agent. Text CASH to 33777 now to unlock the money that's hanging out in your CRM. That's CASH 33777. You ready?
Yeah, man.
All right. So I'm super excited for this. You've done a lot of stuff that basically I tell people not to do, right?
Yeah.
So it's really impressive to hear your story. But before we get into all that, I want to talk about what your life was like before you got into real estate.
Yeah, I had a lot of cool jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of running nightclubs in my early 20s. I was a multi-unit manager for Hooters of America, which in your early 20s is a cool job, and did a lot of cool stuff. But I didn't make any money. I had no wealth. I was just kind of going along with the whims. And much of my life was kind of decided by the whims of others, right? Like I'd get a call and like, you're moving to Oklahoma City tomorrow. I'm sorry, what? Mm-hmm. And yeah. Your
was
job
like
is in Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Okay.
It was just, and I got moved all over the States, and it happened a lot. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I kind of decided, man, I need to take some control of my own trajectory.
Well, before we get into that,
yeah,
from what I understand, because I was never in this position, when you get moved around a lot to other locations, it's because you're good at what you do. It's not like you suck at your job, John. We're going to put you at a different location.
Yeah, I would get calls from the president of the company, and it started with what, and then it finished with where. Because my first store that they gave me as a general manager in my young 20s was the worst store in the whole company, and I turned that thing around into having the highest increased margins in the entire operation.
We're still talking about
Hooters. That restaurant, yeah, Hooters. That restaurant won awards for that, which is why they started moving me around.
Right.
But here's the worst part. I talk about this also in the book about learning to play the rules, the real rules of what you're doing. And there's unwritten rules. And within that company at the time, there's this unwritten rule that if you move around a lot, you do for the company, it'll advance your career faster. Mm-hmm. And I learned that really was just a fallacy. It's something that just went around to get people to move. It didn't matter because there was another person that had, as high as I got, multi-unit with them, there was another guy in Atlanta that had reached the same level and never left Atlanta. And at one point I was dragging my right-hand guy around the country. His name was Dave, and he was just really good at what he did. We were kind of the Jordan and Pippen of Hooters. Mm-hmm. So I took him everywhere I went. And he was having some family issues back in Atlanta. We were in Michigan. And so I went to a meeting and I said, hey, Dave has done for the company. He's moved all St. Louis. He's been here. He's been there. Now he's in Michigan. I got to get him back to Atlanta. We need to open up a store for him to be the GM of down there. And this guy, Todd, that had the same job I did, that had never left Atlanta, said, I don't know. Like, but who cares if he moved around? And I was like, I wanted to jump across the table and wring the guy's neck. And I was like, because I'd been all over the place. And I was like, and I realized in that moment, I shouldn't even be mad at him. I should be mad at myself because I bought into this fallacy when I could have just said, no, I'm going to stay here. And I probably would have had the same exact trajectory I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, so often we get caught up in what we perceive as the rules, but they're not real.
Well, they were unwritten. Yeah,
they're unwritten. That's in the book.
It wasn't promised to you.
Yeah.
You heard it. You ran with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There was not inspecting what you were expecting.
No.
Got it.
Not.
Okay. All right. So you moved all around. All right. Sorry, I interrupted you. So what was
No,
next?
you're good.
So then what happened after that?
So after that, like, of course, a bunch of cool jobs. And then I was in the nightclub business for a long time. At like 27, I had like bleeding ulcers because I was working like 16 hours a day. And like my diet was like Maker's Mark and cigarettes. And yeah, I know, gross, but it was terrible. And so I called my buddy who was a vice president of WorldCom. And I said, everybody tells me I should be in sales. Give me a job in sales. And he was like, I can't give you a job in sales. You have no experience. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, well, what do I do? He goes, we got two choices. What are they? He goes, you can go sell Kirby vacuum cleaners or you can go sell cars. And I was like, huh?
There was no opportunity at WorldCom.
No, not for me, unless I had some sort of experience. So I said, okay, sure, great. Yeah, okay. So I wasn't going to sell Kirby vacuum cleaners. So I said, I'm going to go sell cars for 90 days. And I made that decision. And that taught me, that was the first time I had come off of kind of the W-2 angle and really was depending on myself and realized that I didn't need anybody else to help me because I could really get good at something and my own merits, my own skills, my own work ethic could result in an income far more than what I was.
That was the first time your eyes were open to the fact.
Yeah, to really that much. Yeah, to get off the W-2.
Well, just to recognize that you could be compensated based off your value.
Yeah, and I did that for exactly 90 days and then moved to Florida to start a multi-level marketing company with my sister. And that morphed into the insurance agency, which then morphed into all of these had pretty good success. They did pretty well. I was making decent money, but again, not acquiring any wealth, not really getting anywhere.
What's interesting here was the takeaway for me, right, and probably for a lot of people listening, is like, hey, go get some experience, and then we'll hire you. But that's not how we do it in real estate.
No, it's not.
In real estate,
it's really not.
Right. So I've had the brokerage.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had the wholesaling organization. And it's like, hey, I want to work for you, and it's like, okay, like.
Come on down. I do it a little differently. We're
now I do it differently.
Yeah.
But it wasn't before.
No.
Right before, it was like, you got a pulse.
And can you pay my fee? Come on down.
Yeah, right? So like, you graduate real estate school. Okay, you want to get into real estate? All right, join my brokerage, right?
We're going to use that meets and bounds measurement all the time.
Right. And then it was like, hey, I want to get into wholesaling. Well, what have you done? It's like, I just want to get in there at our house. I was like, all right, if you're willing to hit the phones, you're willing to make the dials, and you find out fairly quickly that 80% will never make the calls, right? But it was like, you're willing to make the calls? Come on in, I'll pay for the marketing, and we'll make this work. Mm-hmm. The WorldCom was definitely a lot further along than I was.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Early on.
Exactly, they were.
Yeah.
But the first time the biggest pivot moment for me that changed my life was obviously The Apprentice, and not for the reason you would think. It's not because I was on television, not because of all of that. It was the first time I was ever around 18 people that were just getting it. Like all the other contestants on the show were just really, really successful. And I walked into that room, and after a couple of days, I realized two things in that room. Number one, I was probably top 5 smartest people there. I knew that out of the 18. And I was probably also bottom 3 doing the best as far as making money.
Yeah.
And that disparity hit me pretty hard. I was like, well, wait a second. Hang on a minute. If I'm smarter than these people, why are they doing so much? Like, how's this dude making $1 million a year? What am I doing wrong? And after that show was over, I had exited a tech firm that I was working for, and Kendra Todd, that won my season, who's in the boardroom with us, called me up and said, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm sitting on my boat." What do you mean? What are you doing? I was living in Tampa at the time. She's like, "You can't just sit on your boat." I'm like, "You don't know me very well." Number one, she's like, "Come get a real estate license with me. It'll be fun." And that is how the Real Estate Odyssey started.
When was this?
2006, right in the end of the boom. And it's funny, man, you see the waves of real estate. And one of the things that I'll say has been the hallmark of my career, has always been catching what's next, right? And I have a method on how I'm always able to do that. But when I got in with Kendra, her thing was, remember Sunvest? Remember those? How long have you been doing it?
Yeah.
Sunvest. They did condo conversion projects. Had them here in Phoenix, had them in Vegas, had them in Miami.
Sold some of them.
All of the hot spots, right? So our job was, we were the marketing arm for Sunvest, and we would go do real estate road shows in like San Francisco, where we would stand up, we'd pitch 5 projects, go to the back of the room, and sell 200 condos to the room. It was wild.
Right.
So obviously we know what happened with that. 2007 happened right into the teeth of me moving to Vegas because I met a girl. So I moved to Vegas, and that's why I moved there. And into the teeth of that, it was like, okay, I got to figure something else out.
Well, so before we get into all that, we kind of jumped through this thing. Apprentice.
Yeah.
So you were on Apprentice.
I was.
I didn't know this.
You didn't know this?
I didn't know this.
I thought you knew this.
Oh, So,
Well, anymore, it's like talking about how many touchdowns I scored at Polk High. You know what I
Right.
mean? It doesn't matter.
but you were on it, right? I mean, that had to have some. I mean, on top of like the epiphany,
Yeah.
right? And like, hey, there's a lot of people here that are not as smart but are doing well,
Yeah.
right? What was your thing on The Apprentice? Like, because I actually never even watched the show.
Yeah.
So what was your thing on The Apprentice?
Well, you don't have a thing. It's not like a talent show. You
Well,
just
I
have
thought
to
it
be
was like
smart.
it was like, hey, like you're my understanding, and again, very limited
Yeah, yeah.
because I never watched it.
Yeah, yeah.
Was like you were some sort of individual that you're trying to accomplish some feat, like either scaling your company or something.
Well, so here's what it was. They took 18 people.
Mhm.
They switch into 2 teams. And then every week they give you a business task.
Yeah.
And you have to complete that. Whichever team does better in that task wins.
Mhm.
They get a reward. And the other team, somebody gets fired.
Right.
And you whittle it down, whittle it down, whittle it down.
Some sort of survival kind of deal.
Yeah, same
Survivor
thing.
kind of
Yeah,
deal.
Mark Burnett was executive producer of both shows.
Oh,
So it was Survivor, but in Manhattan,
got it.
if you
Okay.
will.
So like it wasn't the people on it didn't have to have any particular brand or
Oh, yeah. No, to get on the show, there was 1.8 million people that tried out for the show.
Okay.
And that was a process in itself that was whittled down. That was one of my finer moments of actually how I got on that show is in the book. Because I think it's one of the best lessons of risk evaluation and building value that I've ever had. If you like, I'll share that with how.
Yeah.
So when we applied for the show, it was really popular, and there was like millions of people trying to get onto it, 2 million people. So I went to an open call with my sister begrudgingly. It was her that actually wanted to be on, not me. And they kept whittling us down. Over the next like 6 months, they kept calling me, kept filling out applications, kept sending me stuff, kept calling me, send stuff in. And I learned through the process that they were going to do a finals week with the top 50 people in LA. I thought, well, if I can just get to the top 50 out of 2 million, I'm going to call that a win, right? So they call me and say, we want you to come to finals week. And they took you to the Embassy Suites in Santa Monica. And they said, you have to stay in your room, lock in your room, can't come out. We'll come and get you when we want you to be somewhere. You can't wear anything that says like a college or where you're from or anything, nothing that says anything on, nothing that people could track you down, because they wanted the first time they cast a meet to be on camera on the show, not in the Embassy Suites in Santa Monica. So like you would go to dinner and there's 51 tops because everybody's just sitting there dead silent, look at each other as we eat, and then you're locked back in your room. But through the week, they're giving you personality tests, they're giving you IQ tests, they're giving you psychological tests, they're giving you all these different things. You're meeting with psychiatrists, and every day you go to like the next meal, and there'd be less people. I'm like, oh, they're sending people home. That's what's happening. So it gets to the end when Mark Burnett, who was executive producer of Survivor in the show, they say it's time for you to see Mark. All right. So I put on my best suit, walk upstairs, and there's this double door into like one of those conference rooms they have at like those hotels. I walk in, there's Mark Burnett sitting on a couch, surrounded by about 15 people from NBC, all the NBC brass, and they're all like notes, and they're all watching. I walk in, camera's rolling. How you doing, Mr. Burnett? I'm John Gafford. Nice to meet you. And he's eating M&Ms. And he looks at my hand, reaches in the bag, and places one M&M in my hand. And I'm like, okay, you prick, you don't want to shake my hand. It's terrible. And I go into my spiel about how great I am, and I'm embellishing like crazy at this time, whatever, and about why I'm the perfect person to work for Donald Trump and why he would hire me and why all my experience, and they just no interest in any of this stuff. He's like asking me questions like, I heard your girlfriend's about to dump you. I'm like, what? Like my buddy from Rick from WorldCom told him that. Thanks, Rick. But I'm like, but I can tell that I'm losing the room. I have a very, very high EQ, which is one of my superpowers. So I know when I've got somebody and when I'm losing them, and I am losing all of these people. So I'm like, man, it was over. And I just knew it was terrible. So I go downstairs and I start packing my bag because I know it's coming. I've seen it happen all week. So I'm packing my stuff up, and the PA comes in and they want to see you again. I said, okay. Doing a little different this time. I said, give me a minute. I'm hitting this mini bar. Hang on a second. So I hit the mini bar in my room. I go upstairs. I get off the elevator and I go to those doors and I kicked them as hard as I could. Bam! They hit the walls. I walk in. Everybody jumps. I walk in and I just look at Mark Burnett and I said, let me tell you something, buddy. Let me tell you why you should put me on your little television show.
Little television.
Yeah, that's what I said. Little television show. When you make an investment in me, you get back 100 times what you invest. And I reached in my pocket and I pulled out a bag of M&Ms that I'd taken out of the mini bar in my room. I threw them in his face and I walked out. Door shut. I hear laughter on the other side. And I was like, got it. Yeah. And the reason I tell that story is because so much of people that are stuck in one level or another is because they, don't know how to create value for people. Right. They don't know how to evaluate risk. Well, if you look at that story, When I went up there the first time, I assumed I knew what they wanted, and I created no value because I was a walking resume. I was like, oh, here's all my accolades. They weren't hiring, they were casting. They were about television ratings, not who's going to be a good employee. Right. So I thought to myself, okay, let's talk about risk evaluation. Well, currently where I sit is I'm dead. I'm done. I just cooked myself in that room. So my downside is zero, where my upside is this dream opportunity. So I have the choice to go make one balls out moment that they're going to remember forever that's going to get me on this show. And my little M&M rebellion accomplished both of those things. So yeah, I went up there and they said, I went from walking resume guy to here's a dude that's going to make some ratings.
Right.
And that's how I got on the show.
He knows the purpose of the show.
Yeah.
And he can deliver what's the purpose of the show.
Yeah, that's it.
Gotcha. So I think that's a great lesson because I think there's so much of like, it didn't work. I'm going to try it again.
Yeah.
Right. It didn't work the first time, but I'm going to double down on what didn't work.
Yeah. So many times. And again, the pivot is so important. It is the market feedback. And I find in entrepreneurship, real estate, all of these things is one of the best things about real estate to talk to our market because we're so intimately involved with it on both sides of it. It's the greatest thing because you can be so creative and come up with new ways to try to figure out how to market. Oh, here's this new mousetrap. Oh, I have this new technique, this new piece this is the letter, right? I have it. And you fall so in love with your Frankenstein creation that when the market says this sucks, you don't want to let it go.
Right.
So the ability to listen and react to market feedback in real time, that's one of the skills that so many people that are failing lack.
You want to hear something completely ridiculous.
Totally.
So I was trying to explain something to my kids, talking about like how realistic I am.
Trying. How old are they?
14, 12.
Yeah.
And
Trying.
Right? And so the pattern interrupts. And I said to them, you know what Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and I have in common? They're like, what? It's like, I accept reality as it is. That's what I aspire to be. Not what I hope it is like, here are the real world facts. And then now I'm going to work with the facts that are in front of me. Not like.
No hyperbole.
There's no
spin.
Yeah. Well, obviously there was a spin when I said those things, right? Just try to get their attention.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you saw the reality as it was and it was unacceptable and you were going to change it. Versus like telling yourself a story, whether like, I killed it in there when you know you didn't, or again, doubling down on what didn't work, right? You accept the reality as it was, and I'm going to change this outcome.
Well, radical honesty is, and it's, again, that's where my book starts, is radical honesty is so clutch. And I'll give you an example with my kids. So my daughter, like my son is like rule follower, relatively neat, does all the right things. My daughter, God help every boy in America, looks just like her mother, but has my like hell on wheels kind of attitude. And she's the messiest little creature. I love my daughter dearly, but good Lord, it is like a hurricane went through her room all the time. And so finally, after like, she's just like, well, I'm just messy. I'm just messy. I'm just messy. And I've heard this all the time. And that's a story that she tells herself. I'm just messy. Well, saying I'm just messy is not that big of a deal. But finally, it got to the point where the maids were coming. My wife had asked her to pick up her room. She didn't do it before she went to school. My wife had to do it. My wife's complaining. So she came home and I said, Roma, again, your mother had to clean up after you and do this. And she's like, I know, I'm just messy. I said, no, you're inconsiderate. She goes, what? And I said, you're not messy. You're inconsiderate. You don't care about what other people have to do because somebody's got to clean up. Like, you don't care. And dude, when I called her inconsiderate, like messy is easy. That's kind of fun. Like, oh, you might be the fun life of the party, messy. I called her inconsiderate. Talk about moving the needle.
Yeah.
Because now you're being honest with what you're really doing. And that's a start.
Yeah. What's the reframe?
Yeah.
Different perspective.
Yeah. The right perspective.
Yeah. Okay. So then now you get your friend, you're good in real estate, you're doing all the condo conversions, which were awesome until it wasn't. So then where did you go from there?
So when I moved to Vegas, I met a girl. We've been married now 18 years, so that worked out. There was a bet in Vegas that is actually panned out for me. But so I moved to Vegas, and then the market collapses. So I start saying, okay, I'm looking around, what's going to happen to all these people that are underwater? And it was the first time I'd heard the phrase short sale. So there's a guy named Lee Honish, still to this day teaches short sales, but he was doing a seminar at the Plaza Hotel. And I went and saw Lee's seminar. And it was terrible. I mean, it was it was a just ridiculously horrible presentation.
Why was it horrible?
Because it was all over the place. It was not enough value. It was too much pitch. And it's got to be 80-20. It's got to be 80 education, 20 pitch, right? Is a good presentation. And people have got to feel like they learned enough to maybe do it by themselves, but they need you.
Yeah.
That's what makes a good presentation in sales. I think we can agree. And this one was all over the place. So, but I knew the guy knew his shit. I knew he knew what he was talking about. So I hit him up with an email. And again, this is about, I talk in the book about how to develop partnerships and bringing value to other people when you're seeking mentors. So I sent him an email and I said, look, I went to your seminar today. I'm not going to buy your stuff. Here's why. Your presentation was terrible. So I have a different pitch for you. This is what I've been doing now for the last year and a half is selling 200 condos from a stage. So if you come to Vegas for a day, we'll spend half the day revamping your seminar, revamping how it works. And then the second half of the day, you're going to teach me personally everything you know about short sales. And that's what he did. And I was one of the first people in Vegas doing short sales. And so then that progresses to, okay, I've got my plan and I'm executing a high level on short sales and that's going well. But what happens when this doesn't work? Well, now all of a sudden I'm starting to see that, okay, banks are doing this. So now my business plan, I always do a 2-2-1 business plan, 2-2-1 on anything. So I've got my 2 strategies that are tried and true that are working like crazy on my business plan. And then I have my flyer. Like what's the thing that I think is coming that I can just try? It's my tester. So I'm like, okay, 2-2-1, 2 strategies on short sales and acquiring more clients that way. And then my third was like, okay, how do I get in touch with these banks? How do I become the guy? And that became then you start doing the road shows back in the day to 5-star in Dallas and all of that stuff. And you start making those appearances. And that led me to becoming the #1 agent in the country for LPS.
Oh, you were?
I was #1 in the country for them. Oh yeah. I was all in for those guys, which was amazing. And God bless The Apprentice, because that's what got me that. I sent an asset manager, Susan Spears, shout out Susan, sent her an email saying, hi, you might remember me from The Apprentice, blah, blah. And she totally watched it. And that's how I got that
Awesome.
that particular account. But yeah, I was #1 for them. And that led to foreclosures, which was a massive business for a long time. And then same thing, how do I get more accounts? So I manage my accounts, I maximize my accounts, 2-2. And then the one became, okay, when that started to shift a little bit and I started to see the hedge funds come in, I changed that to the 1 became, how do I get the hedge fund? So that became outbound to, and I picked up as clients, there was a company here called Frio LLC. I don't know if you remember that in Arizona. They were a buying arm for Goldman Sachs. I bought almost their entire portfolio in Vegas. I bought a tremendous amount of Blackstone's portfolio in Vegas. And it was I had that all automated. Like it was totally automated.
So when you're saying like you have this ability to catch waves, this is that ability.
Yeah, this is the ability. Here's my secret sauce. You just have to do always be working the 2 things that are tried and true, but you always have to have that third flyer. And I'm not always right, but I'm right a lot.
Well, you don't have to always be right. Well, that's the thing. It's a flyer.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a low risk move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it works, great. Doesn't work, like, all right, well, it's that, like in marketing, we just say A/B testing.
Yeah.
Right? Like here's the control, here's the experiment. And every once in a while this experiment pops. Great. We have a new control.
That's the new control. Level up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so you're just saying like so it's the 2 things that are reliable. And here's the 1 that is, we're going to see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
But it's like Vegas, right? It's like we're putting some money in like the hard 8s.
Yeah.
All right. The hard 6s. And when it hits, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're still trying to control our bankroll a little bit and just playing the black and red.
Exactly.
Well, we just mixed 2 games then, didn't we? We mixed
Oh, yeah, that's real light. Yeah, yeah.
Too late, yeah.
Pass, don't pass.
Yeah. Don't pass is where our money's going if we want to protect it.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's becoming, doing REO as asset management, right? And you're the biggest buyer. So where along the way did Simply Vegas show up?
Hey, my name is Brian. I'm a real estate investor. Ian's sales training has helped me buy more houses at a deeper discount. Most recently, Ian helped me reframe a question which resulted in me buying a house for less money than other offers the seller had on the table. If you're considering sales training, I don't think you can go wrong with Ian's.
If you like what you just heard and would like similar types of success, text CLOSE to 33777 and we'll see if you qualify to join Objection-Proof Selling. We're taking good sales reps and we're making them objection-proof.
So when I was buying for the hedge funds, guess when I was still doing the banks. When I was doing the banks, the broker that I was with at the time was switching, came to us and said, we're going to switch brands. And I had become number one as an agent on, in Vegas, most companies have a Green Valley presence and a Summerlin presence. You have to have those two. And so my team was number one in Green Valley, and my business partner now, he was number one in Summerlin. Very different reasons. I had a very large team, and he was selling luxury. So the owner came to us one day and said, hey, we're moving to this more expensive office space, which he did, and we're changing brands from RE/MAX to Better Homes and Gardens. Mm-hmm. All right. So we go down and see my new office space, which was half the size of what I had. He's like, because it's more expensive, your costs are going up like double.
Oh, he told you.
Oh, he's telling me. Yeah, he's just telling me.
He didn't get any buy-in.
No. Here's your office. And unfortunately,
it's smaller and more expensive.
Well, and this is 5 minutes after he showed me his new giant corner office that he was going to be in. I was like, so you want to pay double so you can have this giant corner office, you egomaniac. So anyway, I decided that at that moment, the institution there maybe had nothing further to offer me. So I wanted to go off and do my own thing. So Kendra was with Keller Williams still. So she told Gary Keller about me, and I flew down to have dinner with Gary Keller in Austin. And he was like, yep, you could open a franchise in Vegas, this and that. And the owners of my company found out I was there and locked us out.
Out of Better Homes and Garden?
Well, it wasn't Better Homes and Gardens yet. It was still RE/MAX, but they locked us out.
What does that mean, locked you out?
Like there was armed guards there locking us out. Because they kind of had a little bit of a nefarious reputation for when people left them being not so nice about it. Mm-hmm. And I thought I could overcome that, and we couldn't. So anyway, long story boring, I had to get out of there very quickly, and I was incubating, instead of opening my own Keller Williams, I was incubating in another company that was already opened. It had been there for 7 years with about 42 agents, and they had a third partner, and they came to me after the first weekend and said, hey, instead of you going to do your own office, why don't you buy this guy out and then we'll open another one? I was like, okay. So I did that, and we opened up, and we went from 42 agents to 200 agents in 18 months, 2 offices. And I'm saying that I did that because they were open for 7 years prior to that and didn't do it, so I can say I did it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was always kind of the third leg on that stool because those guys were best friends, and it always was a very difficult situation. And that Keller model, God bless them, people that own those companies, when you make money, you get to split half of it with your agents, and when you lose money, you get to write a check. You didn't understand that. But anyway, once I started doing the Keller Williams deal, Gavin, who was number.
So you did open up a KW?
I did. Well, I did with these guys. I owned a third of it. We opened a second one.
Oh, so that was a KW when you were incubating it.
Right. But in the middle of that deal, right, of doing this and all of dealing with agents class of Wednesday, like you said, do you have a pulse? Can you pay my monthly fee? 90% failure rate. Gavin, who was my counterpart in the Summerlin office at that RE/MAX, also left to go do his own thing. He got banged out by that broker pretty good too. But when he left, he was going to go open a RE/MAX. And he called me and said, do you want to open a RE/MAX with me? And I said, dude, I'm knee deep in this KW thing already. And he said, fine. And so I start seeing on the back of like Distinctive Homes, this new company, Simply Vegas. I'm like, what is this company? I look at it, I'm like, it's Gavin. So I call Gavin, I go, what's Simply Vegas? He goes, dude, I was going to go open a RE/MAX. And right as I was going to meet with Dave Liniger in Denver, I just reached out to my high net worth clients and I said, hey, how important is the RE/MAX brand name to our relationship? And he goes, the response was almost unilaterally the same. They said, are you going to go to RE/MAX? Like, they didn't even know where I was. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I don't need RE/MAX to do this. So I opened this company. And then here I am, like, class on Wednesday, sign up. Oh, you're not going to make it? Out the door. This is the wheel that I'm on. And I'm watching this little company from afar, and it's just hitter after hitter after hitter in the Vegas luxury market come to this.
Oh, so you're saying like you're running the KW
I'm running the KW,
model,
and I'm watching him.
But you're going to the real estate schools trying to convert graduates. Yeah.
Meets and bound method. Yeah, those guys.
Right? You're trying to get them to join you at KW.
Yeah.
And you see this other guy, your buddy.
Yeah.
Who just flies out of the gate.
Hitting hitter after, like mega agent. I'm like, okay. So I go to lunch with him and I go, tell me about this company. Tell me about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I wanted a company that I can run like a private club. So not everybody gets to come work for us. Mm-hmm. I'm not keeping everybody. You have to produce to stay here. And we really are focused everything on luxury. And I was like, huh. And I couldn't get that out of my head.
Well, that's building an A-player organization.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I had never done it. Mm-hmm. So the reason people buy franchises or go to franchises in general is because they're going to give you the playbook, right? Mm-hmm. And this is how you do this and how you do it. So I'm doing everything you can.
Or here's how you cut the potatoes.
Yeah. But this is what I found. This is what I found, though. It made me lazy. Because in that scenario, I'm
Can't
waiting
picture-
for somebody, I'm waiting for what do I do next to come down the pipe?
I can't picture a world where you're lazy.
I know, but mentally it made me lazy.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting for them to tell me what to do. It stifled my creativity. And then eventually I saw Gavin at a concert, and as soon as I saw him, I stood up. I told my wife, and she said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Fortune and Glory," quoting Indiana Jones. And Gavin was going to the bar. I went to the bar, and I said, "Hey," "I think your company's doing great. I think it could be better." And he goes, "I agree." And he had 2 partners before me. And I said, "What do you think your problem is?" He goes,
Right out of the gate.
Right
Right out of the gate, your company could be better.
Yeah, I said, "Your company could be better." And he goes, "I agree." And I said, "What do you think your problem is?" He goes, "I have the wrong partners." And I said, "I have that exact same problem. We need to solve this problem." And within 2 weeks, I had sold out my Keller shares, no profit, even though we built up the company much larger. I just wanted out my original investment back. And then I bought out his existing partners, and we opened up the new office. Very quickly, within 2 years, we were number 3 in total volume within 2 years of opening as a new company. And we've never relinquished that. We're now number 2. There was a period at the end of Q1, my company was number 1 in the market. That should never happen, ever, 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 because number 1 has like 1,800 agents, and I don't ever want to have that business. But there was just so much luxury happening at the first quarter of this year that we were number 1. It was crazy.
It is.
It was nuts.
So it sounds pretty simple, not really replicable, but like just find a better partner. But I mean, at a high level, it's like, is a lesson I'm taking right now from that.
If I like people talk to me now, I mean, obviously much harder to open a brokerage now. There's just so many and so much stuff gets thrown around, and it's just so much. But if you really get down to what makes a great brokerage for an offering, is you got to have a magnet, and that magnet is not your tech stack. You've got to have somebody that is a partner at that brokerage that everybody wants to be. Like, nobody gets into real estate to sell $100,000 condos. That's not the goal. They want to sell the big stuff. So you better have one of those partners that is an established person selling big houses that people can look to and say, "That's the person I want to be." That was my partner, Gavin. Gavin will do this year probably a couple hundred million by himself. No team, just a couple $100 million. But Gavin, because of that business, he's not the engine that makes it go. So Gavin's the magnet and I'm the engine. Yes, I do very, very well. We sell a lot of homes. My team does extremely well, but I have a very different business. And for me, it gives me the flexibility to do what I want. When I made the comment earlier that the franchise made me mentally lazy, one of my favorite things when my kid was like, when Hayden was like 8, I said, "What do you want to do when you grow up, buddy?" He goes, "I want to do what you do." I said, "Okay, cool. What do I do?" He goes, "You're the boss." I said, "Okay. Why do you want to be the boss?" And he goes, "Nobody gets to tell you what to do." I said, "Okay. You know what the hardest thing about being the boss is?" He goes, "What?" I said, "Nobody tells me what to do. I got to figure it out for myself." But that, I think, is the magic. I think you're either built for that or you're not. And the people that build successful companies and build great things, they flourish in that environment of saying, "I love that nobody's telling me what to do today, and I'm going to figure it out."
Well, they love that they're the ones controlling it. But there's also that whole part where like you have to answer to so many people. So like you're the boss.
Yeah.
But like also you have to solve, not necessarily you have to be the one that does it, but you have to be able in one capacity or another to solve everyone's problems.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Mega agent, "Hey, I'm having this problem," or this title company is not willing to do what it's supposed to do. Now you've got to call your contacts there.
Yeah. There's lots. And to be great at this as well, I can always tell one of the questions that I ask a lot of people that are want to come to our brokerage, and I love to ask this just for my own personal reward, is logistically speaking, in your office, where is your owner's office? Where is it? They're always like, "Oh, it's in the very back. It's here. It's in this corner. It's over here, blah, blah." My office is a glass box in the lobby. Like, I can't hide.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, you walk in the front, like you can open the front door and see me sitting at my desk. That's where it is, because that's part of my core value to the company is we're very approachable as owners. Like, we're here for our people, and it's what we do.
Yeah.
Occasionally it can be troublesome.
I would imagine a lot of time it'd be troublesome. It's glass.
It is, but we have, the good news is we have a rule that if nobody's in the office or I'm not talking to a screen or I'm not on the phone, you can come in. But one of those 3 things is happening a lot. Yeah. So it's not as free flowing as you might think. But I love the fact that we get to help those people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what's the most rewarding. But like, there's this fallacy of like, you're the boss, you get to make all the decisions.
Oh, dude, I got 585 bosses right now.
That's kind of how I felt. Like when I decided to stop the traditional real estate part, it was like, so every sign in the ground is a boss, right? And everyone that wants to look at this house tonight is a boss. So I quit Intel because I couldn't have a boss.
Yeah.
And then I get into real estate, it's like, everyone's my boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't call you. They just go right to the Google machine and want to leave
It's
crazy reviews.
So you go Simply Vegas. When did this partnership begin?
So we've been at it now 16 years now, 15 years. We've been
15
at
years.
it. 15 years ago.
So you started when you partnered up with Gavin, you guys had about how many agents?
Maybe 45, maybe 40 when we started. Today we got 585. I start to freak out if it gets to 600.
Yeah.
We purge every 6 months. I'm one of the few brokerages that does that. We pull all of our numbers every 6 months. And if you're a 0 for the previous 6, we have a conversation, and that conversation goes one of two ways. It either goes, nothing I am doing is working. Right? Like I am killing myself and I don't know what's going on. I'm in a slump. I can't figure it out. If that's you, I got you. Because if you're trying to save yourself, I'm going to put you on a team. We'll figure out what's going wrong. We're going to get you on the right track. I got you. But as it is in Vegas, the majority of those calls are, well, I took a job at the Wynn. I'm not really focused on it right now. Well, okay, then I'm going to invite you to work somewhere else. Because you are absolutely a product of your environment. And if you're surrounded by people that are not really focused on what you're trying to be heavily focused on, I would love to think the top performers drag the bottom ones up, but it doesn't work that way. You know, what happens is they drag the top performers down. And so it's our job and our responsibility to the agents that choose to work with us to police our sales force. And plus the ones that do one deal a year, that's what gets you in trouble. That's who does stupid stuff. That's who cuts corners. That's who doesn't call people back. That's the agent that does that. So
it's funny you say this because like when people talk about like, why did I close my brokerage? What's the big deal? It's like, well, it's these calls I don't want to take. It's like, hey, your realtor did this, right? They left all the lights on, which is no big deal. They left the doors unlocked. Okay, we're
the fireplace on.
Yeah, it's like okay, right? And then like, hey, you know, we have had one realtor, love her, right? Caliani. She was awesome. But she's, for whatever reason, would always have like the most challenging situations. And when she called me one time, I was like, hey, I'm at this property. The DEA, Department of Homeland Security, and there's another 3-letter agency. I don't think it was FBI. But there were three different 3-letter agencies at the house, right? I was like, okay, well, document everything, send it to me.
Oh boy.
Right? So these are like, and she wasn't a one deal a year person, but like the one deal a year person is the one that attracts those kinds of situations.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because they don't do enough. Like, I know a deal is going to be bad as soon as I hear how long somebody's been doing the real estate. When they're like, I've been doing this for 25 years, or even worse, I see the AOL email address. You're like, oh, dude, this is going to be bad. This is going to be so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how long you've been doing it. I care how much you do it.
Right.
And much like a brain surgeon that's been at it for 40 years that does one a year, I'd rather go to the guy that does 40 a week that's been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah.
He's better.
Right. So, all right. So you get from 45 to 585.
Yeah.
What were and I know we're going to talk in the book in a bit, but before we get into the book, what were some of the biggest lessons biggest failures and then the biggest lessons? Yeah.
Well, I would say that number one, your core values of your company have got to matter, and they've got to be in lockstep, and you've got to make decisions based on those things. And they can't just be words on a wall. They've got to mean something to you. If you're not hiring and firing, and if you're not willing to fire if integrity, for example, integrity above all things is one of our core values. You know, no one deal or no one agent or transaction is worth the reputation of the company. That's that core value. And if you're not willing to fire the number 2 agent in your company for that, then that's not real. And we've done that. We fired the number 2, probably fired the number 5 at the time agent in the company because we didn't like what they were doing. And it wasn't worth the reputation of everyone else. So you've got to live and die by those core values. Number two, in order to really be successful in the brokerage business, you have got to be vertically integrated. If you're not vertically integrated, it's a problem. I like to think that I was a pioneer of that in Vegas. We were the first ones to own a title company, an escrow company. We were the first ones, I think, to own a mortgage company. But we can always are looking for ways to anywhere our consumer is going to spend money, we want to be part of that. We are part of a solar company. I mean, anything we can do that's going to maximize profits for the bottom line makes sense. But you can't, those companies have to be siloed for like RESPA purposes and whatnot. But the profits from those companies have to flow together. Like if I can enhance the value add or enhance my agent's ability to make money or market because we can offer them a better product here because I don't necessarily have to be as profitable. Maybe it's Simply Vegas because of the auxiliary income we're getting from the verticals. I need to do that. So we are constantly looking for ways to improve our tech stack, improve our offering to our agents to make them and keep them competitive in the market because I can afford to do that in a different way than most brokerages can because I have a revenue coming in from these auxiliary sources.
Yeah. So going back to core values, hiring and firing based on core values. So you talk about had to let the number 2, number 5 approximately go. What were, if I don't know if you can talk about this, but what were the violations of integrity? You're like, okay, this is entirely unfair.
One of them,
and just before we go into it, number 2, how much revenue was this person bringing to the company?
Okay. Yeah, you're probably talking about one of them was probably $100,000
in revenue to the company.
And revenue to the company was probably worth $100,000 by the time it was all said and done. And honestly, she was just a terrible, terrible human. Like just everybody hated this person.
Yeah.
I mean, it was everybody in the office hated this person. Her staff looked like a beaten woman's clinic. It was just, I mean,
She was a tyrant.
she got in a fist fight with a male assistant in the office. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. But it just, when that's your reputation in the marketplace, if you're carrying a business card with my logo on it, that's my reputation. And so it just got to a point where we're like, dude, this is relentless. We can't keep doing this. So we had to part ways with that person. Another person that was probably number 5 at the time, this is a nice guy that we all really liked. I still like this person as a human, but they did a deal, and I want to talk about this with you a little bit. You're a little on the other side of it right now, but obviously in the broker situation, like when you look at wholesaling and you look at personal gain by acquiring real estate through that process, there's a fine line we walk as realtors. Like we have a responsibility to do what is in the best interest of the client.
Yeah.
And there was a situation where somebody bought a house that gained themselves personally in a way that wasn't necessarily lockstep with full disclosure on what was happening that I did not like. Yeah. And as soon as I got the call about it from the concerned family member, and I looked at it, it was like, there's no way to spin this. As much as I wanted desperately for this person to be able to spin this in a way that I understood what was happening here, there was no way to spin it. It was just like, this is just for self-gain. Like this is absolutely marginalizing somebody that was probably in a vulnerable position for your own personal gain. And we couldn't do it.
Right.
And it was like that was the last day. Even though it wasn't necessarily illegal what they were doing,
No.
it wasn't right.
Well, it wasn't part of Simply Vegas' mission.
No, it was not.
Right.
Not
And I
at
think that's what you're talking about here. Because yeah, like I do both, right? Like not anymore. I mean, I'm completely out of real estate now.
Yeah.
But
Now
like,
you can do whatever you want.
yeah. But when we had our brokerage, like the cool thing about our brokerage, we had all the top wholesalers, like they all hung their license with us. Matter of fact, we kind of became the black sheep in the market because
Because of that?
well, yeah, they're like, I remember one of my guys went to real estate school. It was like, hey, like it's time for you to get licensed. And they're like, hey, where are you getting, because the instructor's also a recruiter, right? It's like, hey, where are you going to go hang your license? It's like, oh, I'm going to go on studying homes realty. To which I'm like, oh, you're going with Steve Trang. It's like, man, like the instructor knows my name, right? But like, we're the ones that instructed the realtors like how to wholesale and do all that. So what I'm hearing here, and let me know if I'm completely off base here, is like the guy went to the home and lady needed to sell, I'm assuming lady needed to sell. And instead of talking about how we can sell your house for the most amount of money or how Simply Vegas will market your home, it's like, how about I just buy your house?
Yeah.
Right. So for us, the dividing line is like, how did we get into the home? So for
Yeah.
me, if it was, they responded to, we buy houses for cash,
Sure.
right? As, hey, I'm coming in.
That's a good way to divide. That's a good way to divide it.
Yeah. So we're
I
coming
don't
in,
hate this.
yeah. So if I'm coming in to buy your house for cash, say, hey, I'm also a licensed realtor. Like it's on every page is I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Arizona, then I'm good. But if it's like, hey, you want me to sell your house, and say,
And then we twisted it to this.
well, not even if I twisted it, it's like if I said ARV or repair value, market value is 400, and I don't disclose that,
Yeah.
and then I buy it for 250. Now we have a problem because you want to list it for 400, and I buy it for 250.
Yeah. I think the process was, and this was a pretty decent clip of a house. I think it was over $1 million, and it was going there as a listing presentation. And before they could even get to value of his opinion of market value for the house, she tosses out as long as I can get X, that was a number and not based in any reality. And this was a person, because even though they had this house, they weren't in a place in their life where they probably had the faculties to make that kind of an estimation, what should have happened there. And rather than do the right thing and say, well, that's probably really low. I mean, this is what you could probably get on the market. It was I saw an opportunity and I jumped on it.
Right.
And that I did not like.
That angle is not a great angle.
Yeah, that I did not like. That I don't like.
Yeah. So yeah, because for us, it depends on what was the mechanism, what were the expectations, right? So our marketing was always, we buy houses, and then, hey, it sounds like you're trying to do this. We can list it. We can get you more money.
Yeah.
Right. That was always the angle. It was never like, hey, let me list your house.
I think that's fair.
Right. And so that's at least that's the way we always taught it. But anyway, so
as a broker, how did you? Okay, so let's say in that scenario, I'm just curious what you did there because I know what I do, and I'm curious what you do. If it comes to that, what disclosures are you giving to the seller as far as what could have happened if they went the other way? Are you like, was it like paragraph and paragraph and paragraph of like everything that could happen or no?
No, it really depended on the situation of what they wanted. Because again, our marketing was always let me take that back. We started with the Craig Proctor, your home sold guarantee.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah.
That's how
this
is how this whole deal started, right? And after enough times, they're like, well, just buy my house for cash. It's like, you don't want it. You don't want my cash offer. You want me to list it. And after enough time, it's like, no, we want the cash offer. We just pivoted away from all the traditional marketing and we just went to cash because we knew if you wanted cash offer, you needed to sell.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you needed to sell, it was either a cash offer, which by the way, I was still generous at this time at 80%.
Okay, sure.
We lowered it later on. We were like, too many people were accepting the 80% offer.
Yeah.
Right. So it was either that we would go with the cash, or if you wanted the traditional route, then we would still do your home sold guarantee. We'll buy it. And at that point, if they agreed to it, only one person ever agreed to it at the number we wanted, it was 8% commission. So if you went that route, we got an 8% commission. Typically it was 7% because we took away the guarantee. It was 7% commission.
Yeah.
But we found that people that needed to sell, that's what we went after. We didn't go at people that wanted to sell. We went after people that needed to sell.
Yeah. There's definitely a difference there.
Yeah.
The worst listings you can tell, I tell agents all the time, the worst listings you can tell are when people say, well, let's just test the market.
Oh.
No, all you're going to do, you're just going to spend a bunch of money on marketing, have to explain something every week why this is not happening. And then
why hasn't my home sold
And then
yet?
You're going to be the bad guy in 6 months and it looks bad on your record. That's
exactly.
The best listings I've ever had are the ones I've not taken.
Yeah. So going back to this, so you're talking about like multiple streams of revenue, because the reality is I have talked to so many people. I actually have this email from a guy who shut down his traditional team. Right? It's like, I'm proud of all the people that say that, or the brokers, like, hey, you're right, this brokerage thing is brain damage. I don't want to do it. I'm just going to focus on just buying houses, right? So I've talked to a lot of people outside of the brokerage model. And I say, if you're going to do a brokerage, you've got to have a title company.
You have to.
Right? And you have to have a way to legally and ethically get the mortgage side as well.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you're not doing that, then for me, it's just complete brain damage. If the other way, at least you're profitable.
Yeah.
So I think there's still brain damage, but at least you're profitable.
Yeah. Well, how we got in the title business is pretty funny because I guess it's been 8-9 years now. It's been probably 8 years that we've had Clear Title open. And how that happened was Movement Mortgage created an arm of their business called Core Service Partners. And the purpose of Core Service Partners was to go out into the marketplace with big brokerages and open like co-opt title companies where they're joint venture partnerships is what I'm looking for, that thing. And so they came to us and a guy came and sat at my desk And he said, we're going to open a title company for you. It's going to be great. You're not going to have to do anything. We're going to run everything. It's going to be awesome, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Call Gavin. Hey, man, we're getting a title company. What is that? We don't have to do anything. These guys are going to handle everything. Well, yeah, they got it open.
Mm-hmm.
And then very quickly we realized we were having to do everything because it was just like they were in Charlotte. And the plan was for Movement, I think they were doing this as a way to create a wedge to get Movement Mortgage also as a partner in the brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
I was very clear up front, like we're not doing that because we want flexibility of what we're doing. And then they got us open. It was very difficult. And then one Thursday, I got an email accidentally from them. And it was a spreadsheet. This was not bound for me, but I got it. It was a spreadsheet and it had every single joint venture title company they had that was open, all of them, like on a strip. And every single one of them was losing money except for one.
It was yours.
And it was ours. And I hated that business every single day while we were in that situation because it was all these headaches and they were supposed to deal with it. And like, if the deal is you're not supposed to do anything and then you have to deal with the headaches, you're mad about it. Even if you're getting these checks and you're like, oh my God, we're just making, this is great money, but I got to deal with this. So we very quickly called them up and said, look, here's the deal. We're buying you out. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you guys aren't doing anything. We see your ability to run these title companies. We've already established our ability to do it. So we're buying you out. And once we got them out of the way, the headaches became a little bit more worthwhile. Now, granted, that is an incredibly hard business. And we took a lot of lumps in that business over the year.
What kind of lumps?
So the problem with that business in most cases are you need people to operate that business because I don't want to be there full-time as COO. And so for years, we would go after people that we found that were available. And what I can tell you about available people in the title industry is they're terrible. If they're available, they're terrible. They're available for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so we kept bringing in available person after available person. And it would just crash the ship over and over and over. And so eventually I made a decision. We're like, look, we're not hiring any more industry people for this. Escrow officers, yes, that have a little bit of following, that's fine. But when it comes to the operations of this business and it comes to marketing, we're pivoting our thoughts. So for operations, I went out and found the smartest people I could find. Like I put you through the IQ test. I want to know how smart you are because I can teach a smart person to do anything.
Yeah,
and they'll figure it out. And then as far as the marketing arm goes, I don't need somebody to hand out chapstick and desk calendars. I don't care about that. I went out and found the baddest digital marketing people I could find. And I told them they were being hired. Like the ad I ran was hiring digital marketing people. And then they came in, I'm like, well, it's a sales job. So here's the deal. You've got this part of it. I'm going to teach you how to sell. Mm-hmm. And that combination of those two things over the last 2 years, when we got rid of the last bit of our industry people that were kind of tanking our ship and brought in this modus operandi, it's just changed everything. And that business is unbelievable now. Yeah. I love that business now.
Yeah.
It's always been profitable, but now I really love it.
So I had my title company and I absolutely loved it. So I was partners with Magnus Title Agency, right? They're huge in Phoenix. And it was an incredible partnership. And the best thing about it was they actually did what you were promised.
Yeah, they did. They actually did it. Well, they're here.
Yeah.
It's easy to do it when you're here.
Yeah. So, but it's like, hey, we're going to partner. Mm-hmm. We're going to be 51, you'll be 49. Like, what do I have to do? Like, just talk about
sales.
Just talk about us. I can do that. It's an incredible partnership. Unfortunately, when I shut down my brokerage, I didn't consider the fact that the real estate commissioner in Arizona had problems with realtors that weren't brokerage owners owning title companies.
Oh.
Had I known that, it might have changed the calculus.
Yeah,
right?
It would have been worth it just to keep the shop open, one agent.
Well, then at that point, it's like, there's no amount of money that's really worth the Department of Real Estate just like always paying attention to me.
That's true.
So after that, I was like, forget it, right? And because I was doing really well for no effort, doing incredibly well.
Yeah.
But things got hard in 22, 23. So this was in 23. And once the Department of Real Estate starts knocking on your door, I was like, all right, I'm trying to focus. I'm going to do my one thing. Let's just go ahead and shut that thing.
Well, and dude, and I think you'll agree with this, right? When you're the little guy like that, like at Clear Title, I mean, we're in the market against, like the dude that owns the damn hockey team owns half the title companies in Vegas, right? And so you're dealing with the big hitters in there. You've got to make sure you are squeaky clean.
Yeah.
Because
everyone wants to take.
Oh yeah, dude. Because they will absolutely come and get you, and they have much better relationships at high levels with Department of Insurance and the Real Estate Commission and all of those things than I do.
Well, what I found, this is me, my perspective, is that the big guys actually don't follow the rules.
But they want you to.
But they will call you out.
Oh, in a second. Luckily, we have a great relationship with the DOI. And again, here's a testament to the staff that we brought in the last couple of years. 2 years ago, you get audited in the title business every couple of years. And like Fidelity came in and audited us. And, because of the people we had running the ship, we got put on like double secret probation or whatever it was because we had a lot of things that were wrong. And the guy just came in. We just finished our audit. We had no compliance issues whatsoever. Went from like 47 to like 1. That's the equivalent of getting like a D on your health inspection to getting an A+. And the guy that did the audit was like, I've never seen a turnaround like this. So that's just a testament to that thought process of hire the smartest people, not the people that have been doing it for 20 years. Because who cares?
Yeah. The experienced people tend to bring more challenges. Than,
yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
So then in Clear Title, when did you partner up with them?
So 8 years ago is when, I think 7, 8 years ago is when we opened the company. We bought them out pretty quick, like 12 months into it. So Gavin and I have owned it exclusively. And then what we did was we started doing what they wanted to do. So we started going out to the big brokerages in Vegas, and we understood that it was going to be very difficult to manage the South Side. We did try to do one in El Paso for somebody. Very difficult to manage. Saw very quickly we're splitting that off because we're not in the market. That is still open. We don't own part of it. But we started doing JVs for big brokerages in Vegas. So now we have multiple JVs in Vegas. We have 2 brick and mortars and then multiple other JVs that are running. Yeah. But yeah, we started doing what they could because now that we're in market with it, just like you said, Magnus was a great partner, we can keep our arms around it and keep all of those operations operating very low.
Yeah. And then you added the mortgages as well.
Yeah. So mortgage, we were again, the goal was to do nationwide with mortgage and do joint venture partnerships with companies across. And we were, man, did we get out of our skis on that and bite off more than we thought. And it was going well, obviously, until the rates changed. Because we were wholesale. We had a locked desk. We had everything. We were a correspondent lender, which is very expensive if you don't have enough loans. Because you got to pay some high dollar people to run those desks. And that's what we were doing. And man, we started hemorrhaging money when the rates changed. And cross-country mortgage came in, saw the opportunity, saw the sales when things were good, and acquired us, which was great, and allowed us to keep running our businesses on P&L with them. So they took all the heavy lifting, they took all the desks, took everything. So all of our high, payroll and expense went to them, and now we're just running P&L with them on a split, which has been unbelievably great. And it's also going from, it was nice to have, UWM and Rocket fight over our business a lot. That was flattering, I guess. But there's something about being with a bank that's so much different with the products that you can offer your clients and just the flexibility you have.
What are the benefits?
Oh my God, the products you have and what you can do are so much different than when you're dealing with Rocket or UWM. Because the bank is going to service a certain percentage of its own loans. They're not selling them, and they're not looking to bundle them up. And it's just that flexibility of the programs that we've had has been life-changing. We've been able to recruit better LOs to that company now because strictly based on product.
Got it. Okay. So then you wrote a book.
Yes, I did.
What's the book?
So all of this great stuff we've been talking about. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, Escaping the Drift is the name of the book. Same name as my podcast. But all of this success that we just talked about didn't really happen until my early 30s. My 20s were spent kind of drifting along with this affable sense of, well, somebody's always going to save me, be it my father, be it whatever girl I was just, dating that I moved in with after 2 months. And there was always somebody else. And it was all of my problems tended to be because somebody did this or that happened. And I didn't really take control of my own life until these stories that we already talked about, like being on The Apprentice and being around those people, having the understanding of going to the car lot and understanding that I could fend for myself when nobody was coming to help me, and that my ceiling was much higher than I was operating at. And so I wanted to write a book for a couple reasons. Number one, it's a legacy piece to my kids. As you hit a certain age and you start going on like Facebook groups and like your high school
35.
Facebook group. Yeah. Who, me?
Yeah. 35.
53. Are you kidding me? No. But you go on those Facebook groups, right? Your high school group, and you're like, people are dying, and there's no candlelight vigil anymore. There's no like, we're meeting at the lake to like hold. No, it's like, yeah, that dude hadn't lifted a weight in 10, 20 years, and I can see why he had a cardiac arrest. Yeah. But you start to realize how finite time is.
It's fascinating you say like there's no candlelight vigil because that was the 20s.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
20s.
Somebody died. It was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Now you're like,
that sucks.
I could kind of see, yeah, that sucks, man. I kind of see that.
Yeah.
But you realize how finite time is, right? So when you realize how finite time is, a couple of things. I want to write a legacy piece for my kids in case something happens to me. I just lost one of my best friends to cancer about 2 months ago, Steve Sims, who actually wrote the foreword to the book.
Oh, you're friends with Steve Sims?
Yeah, Steve was one of my best friends. And he wrote the foreword to the book is the last thing he ever wrote, which I'm so honored and I love that I can give that to Henry and Claire and the rest of his kids. And
yeah, I've interacted with him, but never like knew him personally.
He's great. He was great and just an unbelievable guy. And talk about living every moment, man. He had it. It was just an incredible guy. But I wanted to write a legacy piece for my kids, but I also, because you realize the finite amount of time, my biggest regret, people say, what is your regret? Do you have a regret? What's your regret? And a lot of people say like, oh, everything happened for a reason exactly as it was. I don't believe that. I'm like, I shouldn't have given such a giant period of my time to the whims and just thoughts of others where they could dictate what happened to me. And so I drifted through my 20s just on the winds of change. And if I could do anything, I'd go back in time and stop that. Because where would I be today if I would have started earlier? And that, and also I think it's a great time for it because if you look at what's happening in the world, I think when COVID hit, I think there's a level of apathy that got programmed into people during COVID when it was like, okay, the government can tell you have to stay in your house and everything you thought you could do, we just pull the rug out from underneath you. And you got to do this. And it created this blasé of like, when is the other shoe going to drop? And I think it shows up in everything. It shows up in, I talk about restaurants a lot in Vegas. Like we have the best restaurants in the world there. And it used to be every time you go to one of the high-end restaurants, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that was just an exceptional meal. The service was incredible. The maitre d' was so amazing. It was just a magical night. But now it's almost like those dinners are fewer and far between because now so many people are just going through the motions, and it shows up in real estate. It shows up in retail. It shows up in your relationship with your friends. People are all of a sudden like, well, RSVP and not show up. And it's just, maybe it's not important to do this. And it's this general malaise of apathy that's going through the world. And I've made it kind of my mission to wake as many people up from that as I can. And if you look at what's coming with AI, right? You see the robot, the Neo robot you can get for your house. Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't see that. No.
Okay. Shipping Q1, you can buy a humanoid robot that will do all your chores in your house.
Okay. What's the pre-order?
Yeah, it's $20,000 or $500 a month, and it will do all your stuff. Like, we're here.
I'm gonna stop this podcast just to buy it.
To go buy, dude. We're here. Like Jetsons, we're here.
Ruby's right here.
And so, if you are somebody that is just haphazarding your way through life on the winds of chance to whatever will happen, bro, you better get control of the direction of where you're going, or somebody's going to get it for you, and that's going to be a real problem. And that's kind of what this is my playbook, my user's manual to how to escape that thinking and take control of the direction of your life.
We had this conversation on Monday. So we do twice a month, we do growth mindset calls, right? So everyone in the company. And the one we talked about Monday was living life with intentionality, particularly business, but also like your life.
Yeah.
And we were saying like, hey, like moving forward, beginning the week, you can write down here the top 3 priorities when you get done this week, no matter what. And in the week, we got the Elon Musk, like, what'd you get done this week? Right? Yeah. Like we got to live with intentionality. And the thing I said, which is like totally coincides with this, was that the people in the people in your life, I'm sorry, not the people in your life, the people you look up to live their life with intention. They've got a plan and they're executing that plan. The people that you don't really want to spend time with are kind of just floating along down the river of life, wherever it goes.
Drifted along.
Another thing, I actually had a frustration with my sales team, and they're talking about, because we sell our coaching product or our AI product, and they're like, well, this guy, we're not sure. He's like, how do I know this will work in my market, in my business, right? And I said to him, I said to my sales guy, I was like, I don't care if that guy buys our product.
Yeah.
Because
he's already looking for an excuse.
The words I'm hearing out of him, and what I said to my sales team was like, there are 2 types of people that happen to the world, and the people where the world happened to them.
Did you have my book in front of you? Because literally it's on the cover.
Oh, there you go. That's the cover. So I'm going to have them read the book, right? But that's what I said to my sales guy. I was like, hey, like if this guy sounds like the kind of person where the world happens to them, they're going to buy our product if we get them to buy it. And once they do, they're going to complain to everyone about how our product doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, I'm not sure we even want that guy's money.
Yeah, because they're already pessimistic about it.
Yeah, they got one foot out the door. They don't know they're going to be in the business.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we want to sell this to this guy.
Yeah.
And so like, this is a perfect book because that's the message that I've been trying to preach to my team. Is like, right here in the book.
Yeah, it is. Well, for me, this is a step-by-step guide. It starts at the beginning of what I think you need to do.
Yeah.
And the first step in this is radical accountability and really taking a look in the mirror and asking yourself and being honest with yourself about what did I do to create the situation where I currently am? What am I doing with this? As I call it, instead of pointing the finger, you got to start pulling the thumb, right? Is what it is. And most people don't want to do that because it's uncomfortable.
Well, then you have to admit you're at fault.
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier to do that. There's comfort in misery and failure. And I always go back to, there's a movie that Al Pacino was in called Two for the Money. It was a gambling movie. You ever see this movie?
I don't think I watched it.
All right, anyway. So Al Pacino ran like one of those gambling services where you call up and you get the picks.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting. He goes to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting. And he says, you're not addicted to gambling. You're addicted to losing. Because you never feel more alive than when you're up against it, all your money's gone, and you don't know how you're going to pay the rent, and you just barely scrape by. And just so many people that are living paycheck to paycheck or moment to moment or every day is Groundhog Day, success to them becomes being able to get yourself out of the trouble that you're in. It's like people would rather grab a brick than a life raft. And another example of that is like, let's say, the repo man's coming. Oh man, I can't make my car payment. Here comes the repo man. Well, let's backtrack that one. Why is the repo man coming? Because you can't afford your car payment. Why can't you afford your car payment? Because the interest rate is 28% on the car. Why is it 28%? Because you ruined your credit and you can't get a decent rate. So let's go back and make a better choice, which is instead of going to buy a new car, maybe let's spend a year fixing our credit and then not have that happen and not replicate. So people don't want to be honest because it's easier for their ego to just perpetuate the problem.
Yeah.
So once and think about this, how can you start to get better or know where you're going if you don't know where you're starting?
Yeah.
Think about your phone, right? Like you're in a parking garage and you put the GPS in your phone where you need to go, but the satellite can't see you because you're in the garage. Do you get directions?
No.
You already know where you're trying to go, right? Why don't you just get directions?
Yeah.
Because you don't know where you're starting from. So being radically honest about where your starting point is the key. And then from there, you got to decide who you're trying to become, where you're trying to get to. And really design that life or that person or who you want to be, because everything starts there. And then now I know where I'm starting, where I'm trying to go to. And now I need to understand why I'm trying to get to that place. Why? Like when you said, write down your 3 objectives this week. Like for me, it would be like, I'd have 2 lines on that paper. Write down your 3 objectives, and then next to it, write down why it's important you get it done.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know why you're doing this, then why would you do it? It's like when people come to interview for our company, how much do you want to make? I want to make $250,000. Why? I don't know. It just sounds cool.
Yeah.
Or why? Because I want my kid to go to college and have no debt. I'm trying to move into a better neighborhood. I want to hand the keys of this house to my wife. I want to pay off $15,000 in credit card debt. Okay, cool. I know you're going to make one more call. I know you're going to knock one more door.
Yeah.
Then it'll be cool to make $250,000. No why behind it.
Yeah.
And then once you have that why, like you said, then you take that and develop a plan. Because every type performer has, like everybody that I know that has success has 3 things. They have absolute clarity of where they're trying to get. They have a precise plan. And then there's consistency in which they execute that plan.
Right.
As long as you do those 3 things, you're going to be fine.
It's impossible to fail.
As long as you do
nearly impossible to fail.
As long as you just do those 3 things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So awesome. Great timing. What else?
Well, that's what is in the book.
Well, because I think what you mentioned was like, this is the book you wish you had picked up
Yes.
when you were young.
Yes, it is. There's things like, yes, that's the actual plan and execution there. It also talks about how to get accountability, to build accountability circles, what works, why things work, but also things like how to develop partnerships, how to find mentors, how to build value to others so they see value in you. You know, it's funny. I did Hannah Hammond, who I know you know, and you flip through somebody's Instagram before you meet them, and you're like, this person, I see her with Robert Kiyosaki a lot. And I'm like, and before I knew her, my instant gut reaction is, wow, that's Robert Kiyosaki. I wonder what he sees in this person. And then you spend an hour with her and you're like, I completely sees what he sees in her. This is a really sharp human that is unbelievably talented. So it's about how to develop those relationships that are going to get you where you want to go. Because if you try to do this by yourself, it's going to be tough.
Oh, talk about trying to do it yourself. I mean, we met at a mastermind.
Yes, we did. That's in their book too.
Yeah. The
importance of that.
Yeah. So you want to talk about that?
Sure. For me, I love mastermind groups. I love them. So many of our friends in that, but again, that comes to surrounding yourself with the right people. One of the hardest places I ever lived when I was moving around was Detroit, Michigan. Back in, this is in the late 90s when I had to move to Detroit. Because I was a Florida guy and it was really cold there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found was in Detroit, there's this cycle. At least there was at the time. If you live in Detroit, don't hate on me. I mean, hopefully it's changed by now. But back then there was this cycle. Like you were born, your dad worked at Ford, you went to high school, you married your high school girlfriend, you went to work for Ford with your dad, and you bought a house four houses down from them. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. And how would you ever see beyond that?
Right.
Because that's all you see. You've placed yourself in this echo chamber. And when you look around at the people you surround yourself with, if you're surrounded by people that aren't trying to strive for success, you've got to find people that motivate you. Just like that, those 18 people on The Apprentice made me see like, whoa, you are underperforming for your potential.
Yeah.
You've got to get around people that do the same thing for you. And through the magic of the internet and meetups, I mean, just being able to go, like, you can go and do anything. But the key phrase in that is you can go.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are waiting for like, hey, maybe somebody's going to call and invite me to go to something that's cool or I'll learn something. Like, no, dude, you've got to seek that out for yourself.
Yeah.
And those mastermind groups have been just invaluable because I come back from those. You asked me, it was funny. I didn't go to the last one and you asked me why. And it's because my toxic trait, if I have one, is I hear somebody that does something to make money. I'm like, I could do that. I'm going to totally do that.
Add it to the list.
I'll go down the rabbit hole of
Yeah.
how to figure out whatever there is they're talking about. And I told Kent, who runs Boardroom Mastermind that I love, I was like, bro, I'm all booked right now until the end of the year. I got to get this book launched and then I'll be back because I know my focus and it's got to be razor sharp for this because I owe it to the people I'm trying to help to get this message out to as many people as I can.
Oh, absolutely. So I want to talk to you about the future of real estate. Before I do that,
Yeah.
real quick, guys, the episode to you is brought to you by Beck CFO, the go-to tax and CFO firm for real estate entrepreneurs. If you're making money in real estate and you're not confident you're paying the least amount legally possible in taxes, you need Beck CFO. They specialize in entity structuring, tax strategies, and CFO level support that saves their clients thousands every year. I use them for tax planning, and you should book a free consultation at beckcfo.com, beccfo.com. Okay, so I want to talk about the future of real estate, but there's something I want to ask you.
Sure.
Because you clearly have gone through everything. I've kind of got these thoughts in my mind. Right? I'm driving around town, music off, right, just observing, and I was thinking that everyone is just tapped out. Everyone is just maxed out, and I think part of it is that they have met the level of adversity that they can handle.
Yeah.
Right? They just can't. Like, so if everyone seems overwhelmed, they're not actually living a difficult life. It's just they're handling what they can handle. And then, like how many times you've broken through
I love that.
plateau.
Yeah,
of
I
barriers,
love that.
Like, hey, I figured this out. And you hit this next ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, man, why
The
is this so hard?
goalpost keeps moving. What's happening?
Yeah. So like, I just want to get your thoughts. Like, is everyone like, if everyone seems maxed out, tapped out, you're talking about the apathy, is it because they're just handling all the responsibility they can possibly handle, and that's the reason why they're stuck? It's just they can't. And I think the masterminds kind of opens your mind to the possibilities, find shortcuts. Your community helps you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
But is everyone just like maxed out right now?
I think two things. I think number one, you've got to fall in love with the process of whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've really got to love the action of what you're doing. If you don't, that's fine. I always talk about like joining a fraternity. Was the best semester I ever had in my fraternity was when I was a pledge and they were beating the crap out of us. It was way more fun than when you were a brother on the other side of that. And it's because the shared experience, the grind, the brotherhood that you had with your pledge class as you were going through it, even though it was much harder, I always look back at that with so much more affection than anything else. Yes, it was hard, but I loved it. And so if you don't genuinely love the work that you're doing, you need to find something that you do love. And I'm not saying to be passionate, but you got to fall in love with it. You've got to fall in love with the process. Because like you said, the goalposts are always moving. Mm-hmm. Like somebody asked me earlier today, they said, how was it to have, because I just got these, like this is literally the fifth one of these that's out in existence, Steve, there you go. because you're the fifth podcast in the last 2 days. Not that I think you're fifth on the list. You just
Oh, now I'm going to take it personally.
No. But somebody asked me, they said, how did it feel to have this real book in your hand after 4 years of putting this thing together?
Years.
Yeah. And I said, it was cool for about 5 minutes. And then it immediately went from, okay, cool, I have it in my hand. Now we got to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
The goalpost
Now
moved.
what?
Instantly, right? So now the goalpost moves. And that's okay because I didn't feel a letdown from that because I just knew that was part of the process.
Yeah.
Because I've fallen in love with the process, lumps and all, ups and downs, mistakes and missteps of this, because I'd never done this before.
Right.
So I made some missteps and would go back and change some things if I could. However, here we are. And we're going to figure it out, push it forward, and I'm going to achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve by putting the thing out. So yeah, so I think you got to fall in love with it, number one.
Yeah.
And if you don't love what you need to do, you've got to start to find something you got juice about and understand the why. Again, like I said before, I think the why is so underrated with things. Mm-hmm. And that's why you've got to understand why you're doing things. One of the things I talk about in the book, I do a real short chapter on sales. Just, I don't go super in depth because I think people that aren't in sales need to start to develop some sort of sales skills. So I said, okay, what are some of if I had to give 5 sales skills, if I had to pick 5 things that I would just say, if you got nothing else, start here. What is it? And one of those is the word because. There was a scientific study done at Harvard in the 70s, and there was a copy machine in the law library that was always very busy. Mm. And so they did this psychological experiment where the line was always long, and they sent people up to the front of the line, and they said, hey, can I cut in line? And the compliance on that was 30%. Then they sent people up and said, hey, can I cut in line because I have an emergency and I got to get this done? That was 95%.
Right.
And then they sent the third group up and said, can I cut in line because I have to make some copies? Which is just nonsense. 93% compliance. Yeah. The word because was important. Mm-hmm. And it's not just outbound when you're trying to move the needle with people to get them to do what you want. You've got to understand why you're doing stuff.
Right.
So the why behind it. And I find people at capacity, if you ask them why are you doing this? And they really had to stop and think, a lot of people at max capacity don't know why they're doing this.
Right.
They've lost that. They don't have that North Star to govern themselves by. Because I find that people that have a true North Star, something they're trying to achieve, mm-hmm. that's that burning thing that nothing's going to get between them, yeah, they get tired. Yeah, they get a little worn out. But when they really think about that thing they're trying to achieve, mm-hmm. it rejuvenates them in a way that nothing else can.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. So I want to talk also now the future of real estate.
Yeah.
Because, you've seen a lot.
It's coming fast.
You've been around the block.
Yeah.
You're in arms deep, knees deep, elbows deep in real estate. You think things are going to change a little bit in real estate?
They already are changing.
All right. So talk about that.
Here's how things are changing. They're changing fast. Number one, if you look at search engine traffic, Google's down 30% already to chat.
Yeah.
Right.
ChatGPT alone is taking 30% of their traffic.
Yeah. Most of the traffic now is flowing through ChatGPT. If you are not, get rid of SEO, you need to be AEO. You need to understand how you can come up in a conversational way with the robots when they ask. Because, I have a kid in my office the other day who's heavy on mail, and mail still works in real estate. It works great. But he said, hey, I'm noticing houses come up on my farm and I didn't even get a call. It's weird to me. They just listed with this person and I don't know who this person is. And it's because people are asking the robots. And if the robot says this is the best person, unsophisticated people are just well, ChatGPT said this is the best person in my neighborhood.
ChatGPT wouldn't lie.
Yeah. But they don't realize that all ChatGPT is doing is regurgitating what somebody fed it on their website and it happened to index that site.
Well, what it found probably right now, considering it's really what they found on Reddit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Reddit, huge. Yeah. And I'm very grateful that we have positioned ourselves very high in all the searches, and I love it. I feel like I have a beachhead there that I'm trying to defend, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two is there is a arms race going on right now for the consumer. And what has happened is a lot of people don't understand that when Rocket bought Redfin, they were trying to get up funnel.
Which is massive.
Massive. But they're trying to get up funnel to the buyer. They don't want to depend on realtors anymore to send them business. They're okay, we're just going to circumvent that process.
So I think let's break it down. Let's not assume everyone knows what Rocket and Redfin.
Okay, got it. Go ahead.
What's Rocket?
So Rocket Mortgage is a massive lender. One of the two biggest. There's UWM, United Wholesale Mortgage, and Rocket. Rocket's massive.
Rocket's the one that advertises during the Super Bowl.
Yes, they got deep pockets.
Yeah.
So Rocket, their model has been direct to lender, so people can call Rocket as they advertise in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But most of the flow of real estate has always been you get a realtor first, and then the realtor introduces you to a lender, and then that's how you get your mortgage, is traditionally speaking how that process goes. Well, Rocket's trying to flip that on its head. So Rocket goes out and buys Redfin, which is a heavily trafficked search website.
Yeah, I think right behind Zillow consistently as far as not quality or anything else, just on Google.
Just on traffic. Yeah, just on traffic.
Yeah.
But trying to get themselves up funnel. So now they're like, okay, we can get to the consumer faster if we get them trapped, if we catch them first. But then here's the real coup, right? So then they go out and buy Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper is the third largest servicing company in the United States. So if you get a mortgage, you get a statement or an email every month from your servicer. Here it is, Mr. Cooper. Now, traditionally, that's just been, here's your payment, here's your interest, here's your escrow account. It's going to change, whatever. Here's your notice, blah, blah. That's all it's been. But now you're going to start to see that change in the next 6 months because Rocket's goal is to trap the consumer in this closed-end loop. You're going to start to see information on that Mr. Cooper statement, which is, hey, here are houses that have sold around you. Hey, here's an automatic value model for your house. Hey, click here if you want to refinance or see what you could get. Hey, here's your equity position. So they're trying to trap that consumer in this loop because it's gone from single-use customer, which so many in real estate are. I mean, realtors are terrible notoriously at keeping up with their clients, which is like 80% of people don't use the same realtor twice. And so they're thinking we can trap the consumer in this closed-end loop, and then when they're ready, they click, we'll just be able to capture them again and keep them moving. Zillow has been moving to this forever, trying with their super app, trying to keep you in their super app, and now Zillow Mortgage with the flex teams that work for them, they're trying to force them, their lead flow is now based on how many pre-quals they get through Zillow Mortgage, which I think that'll probably be legally challenged at some point, but that's not for me to say.
Yeah.
But again, trying to trap the consumer in this loop. So there's and they are about to do a heavy push you're going to see. Heavy push, where Zillow is going to push clients to claim their home. They want you to claim your home in Zillow, so they have all your information. And what's more is like you look at the terrifying moves they're making, trying to become, it's like Godzilla and whatever it is, Megadon fighting in the Bay. Follow Up Boss, which is a CRM that so many people use, was purchased by Zillow, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was always like, no. We're going to silo this off. This is its own business. It's very successful.
I'm a corporation.
You can trust me. I'm a corporation. It's fine. And it went from, we're never going to look at your data, to then maybe about 8 months ago, it became, well, strictly for like metrics purposes, we can look at your data. And now that just became, if you have a client in your Follow Up Boss CRM and their email address matches an account in Zillow, which everybody has a Zillow account, well, now that became our client. So when they see them searching for property within your CRM over here, now they know and they can hit your client. Like we advise all of our agents to get out of the Follow Up Boss business. Do what you want. I'm not here to ruin a business, but I just don't think that's really good to have Zillow looking your stuff. And it's so funny with Zillow and realtors still. It's like Siegfried and Roy, right? We have fed this tiger our listings. We fed it all of our data. We feed it all of our information, and we did this. And like agents are surprised when the tiger ate Siegfried and Roy. Like that's what happened to them. They cared. They loved the tiger. They fed the tiger, and then the tiger ate them. And this tiger's trying to eat you. So what we're doing to counter that at our level is we're working with a company that we really like to build us our own ecosystem that our clients can use. And it's built a little bit differently because rather than home values and those sorts of things that people, they look at them every once in a while, but they don't necessarily like, after a couple of months, they opt out if they're not thinking that way. What we've done is build a portal where our clients can manage their house, very similar to the way that you would do it. It'll record all of your data. It has an AI database of like 90,000 appliances in it, every appliance in your house, everything can happen. Where like if your hot water heater goes out, you can go out to the garage, take a picture of your hot water heater. It'll look it up and say like, okay, that's a hot water heater from here. It's 2022. It's still under warranty. Here's the warranty information. Or if your ice maker goes out or whatever, it'll have all the information on how to troubleshoot it. If it doesn't work, it'll then have a vendor network that you can just call somebody and they'll come right out. But it's stuff that you actually need through the process of owning your home. You can put in how often you change your filters and it will remind you to change them again. How often you change the smoke alarm, it'll remind you to do that. But it also has all that other information involved in it with like, hey, here's your house valuation. Here's houses that sold it at. Hey, here's what you could refi to. It has all that same information because we're going to spend the next 6 months trying to literally protect our beachhead with our clients by giving them a tool that we feel is incredibly high value for them. But when they are ready to sell again, I want them in my ecosystem and not over here in Zillow or Rockets. And a lot of people aren't going to react to this properly, and it's going to be too late. You have got to draw a digital fence around your client base. You've got to do it.
Well,
that's the biggest change.
well, I think it's massive what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Because
it's huge.
there's this, we've been going through this big data thing for a while, right? Big data has been a big thing for quite some time. And the difference now with, with big data, you could do machine learning, but like we've now added this layer of AI to it and the ability to predict, right? You just feed it data. It just knows more, right? And so if you're not keeping the competition out, then you've got no one else left to blame when they seize your clients.
Yeah. I would venture to guess that within the next 3 years, every homeowner in America is going to be in one of these systems. They're going to be in there.
So it's either going to be the
Zillow
Rocket.
Super App, the Rocket Loop, or whatever else that, if you're a smart agent, work with a good brokerage that's building something to help protect you, which like we are.
Yeah. So that's kind of a scary place to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think that, but again, that's one of those things where if I worked at a franchise, I wouldn't be thinking about this because I would be like, well, what are we doing next?
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I see this. And I'm like, we've got to create our own tool for agents to protect their interests going forward for the next however many years. And we need to, I want to have something that is of incredibly high value that's going to be user-based for our clients. But the cool thing about it is from an agent standpoint, because we're giving this to our agents, right? So say an agent has a system because you can control the vendor base in it. So let's say you have a friend that has a painting company. Then you can go to him and say, hey, I'll put you in here as the only painter if somebody needs a painter. But what I want you to do is I want you to send this out to all of your clients you've ever had. And let's capture all of your clients into the system as well. So now that database, I'm going from CRM of active searching to, what it's going to come is it's going to go from active searching CRM search to passive within one of these networks. But every time somebody does something within our system, our agent will get pinged.
Right.
Hey, these people are looking for the home value. Hey, these people are looking at homes, whatever. Hey, this person your client just called to get the refrigerator fixed. What a great touch. Hey, what's wrong with the fridge?
Right.
What's going on? Keeps
Fantastic.
you top of mind with them.
Kind of reminds me. So I'm looking at commercial spaces.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to figure out, do I want to buy it on a lease, right?
Okay.
And I'm on Crexy, right? The
Yeah.
commercial real estate one. And just me clicking around, I've gotten so many calls.
Yeah.
So many calls. So many voicemails.
Are you saying they sold your data, Steve? No.
Well, Summer, who runs my company here, basically, she's like, why do they keep calling us, right? Because it goes to my voicemail,
Yeah.
which means she gets it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And she's like, this is ridiculous. Like, honestly, if I was paying to be a licensed agent, a commercial agent on Crexy, I would require this.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm
For sure.
proud of these guys who reach
For
out
sure.
to me. I'm just going to get my voicemail.
Yeah.
But like, kudos to you for calling me just because I'm snooping around the website.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I want to know, like, in the future, if you really want to be good, and this is in the agent space, but even I want to know whenever people want to know what they're doing. But I think you're going to see, like, even the guys in the wholesale space, like, you're not going to have a chance to get to that cash offer because these people are going to be trapped in these ecosystems, and there's going to be those options that are sitting there.
So let me ask you this, because we're both in boardroom, right?
Yeah.
A lot of wholesalers in there, but there's also a lot of realtors.
Yeah.
Good amount of realtors.
Yeah.
I've kind of had this vision for the longest time that eventually it's just going to be you do both. You do cash, you do realtor. Basically, you're a problem solver for the homeowner.
Yeah.
If you go in there with just one solution, I think what I've said is long term, you're going to have a hard time because there's this massive pressure on commissions.
Yeah.
And there's eventually going to be massive pressure on the assignment fees.
Here's my problem with wholesale in general,
Sure.
right? I think as a concept, it is deceptive to start out because these guys go online, they take a class, they pay whatever, and then they get on the phones and start banging calls, right? And they say, I want to buy your house.
Right.
When they don't have 50 cents to rub together.
Sure.
There's no intention of them to buy this house. Zero. So they're presenting it that way. That I think is the piece that gives wholesalers a bad name.
Is it only that piece?
I think yeah, I'm going to start with that because other than that, buyer beware. As long as you're like, I'm going to take this to my network of investors and then they're going to buy it and I'm going to make a little bit of money on it, great, fine. But when you're coming into the guise of, I'm going to buy your house, and they, an unsavvy person doesn't understand what and/or signee means,
Right.
That creates the problem for me.
Well, I've never seen this enforced, but everyone I talk to that, is an attorney considers that to be fraudulent.
It is.
But I've never seen anything done about it. Now I've come on record on this podcast and said like that is fraud. That is you're getting a contract by deceit.
Yes.
Right. But nothing's ever been done about it.
No. Well, yeah, it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Like South Carolina just did something about it.
South Carolina.
Nevada was this close to doing something about it.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this right now. In 2 years from now, when the session comes back, you will not be able to wholesale in Nevada.
You think so?
I know so. Yeah. I got an event on Monday with the governor. I absolutely know so. Because here's why. What they're going to say is you're not allowed to market a property for resale in any way, shape, or form unless you're a 51% deeded equity owner.
Yeah.
It's like not a novation. I mean, you've got to be recorded on the deed at 51% to market a property for sale, unless you're a licensed realtor marketing it on the open market.
Yeah.
So they're going to kill it because again, that's the problem is you have people that are just fast and loose, that come into a market. And look, I do believe there's a thing for every product. I believe there's a time for every product. Yeah. There are people that are in desperation. There are people that their mom died. They live in another state. They just don't care. They just want out of it. I get that. I totally understand that. But there's way too much fast and loose. There's no governing body.
There's not.
There's nobody policing any of this. And the problem is the fast and loose is going to bring down the professionals that do
this. It's the classic because one kid was loud.
Yeah. Everybody has to stand against the wall. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Go take your medicine.
Yeah. It sucks because I wasn't that kid.
Yeah.
I wasn't that kid in school.
Yeah.
But I remember all those times like, okay, so we don't get to have recess today.
Yeah, because of Jack.
Thanks,
Jack
Johnny.
did it again.
Yeah, well, you say Jack because you're John, right?
I can't blame. Well, honestly, it probably was me doing it. So John is it's probably fair
but
to
Johnny
say.
over there, right, was mouthing off, and now none of us get to go to recess.
Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair.
So, all right. So now I want to go back to a few different things here. So first, Escaping the Drift. That's available now on Amazon.
You can pre-buy it now everywhere. Pre-buy it Barnes & Noble everywhere. It drops November the 11th when it comes out.
Well, this is going to come on November 9th. So,
okay, then yes, 2 days from now it will be out.
2 days from now it will be out. Yes. Actually, I got to make another joke too.
Please.
Right? Because
is it my expense, I hope?
The industry.
Okay.
So, because right now it is October 31st.
Yes.
The thing that I always laughed at was the number one marketing material for realtors was the emails about daylight savings. That grunt. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, dude. For me, I lean into the turkey recipe as my favorite.
The turkey recipe?
The turkey recipe for Thanksgiving. That was my favorite. Like, what? Nonsensical.
All right, send this email out as daylight savings is changing. All right. So, for you, you're talking about what you want to be remembered for, or you want to create this legacy. What is your biggest struggle today? If you're a real estate investor with a sales team and you're stuck babysitting reps instead of growing your business, this is for you. Right now, your reps are burning through your expensive leads like they're practice dummies. They're making costly mistakes you won't catch for weeks, and 70% of your potential revenue is walking to competitors because of inconsistent follow-up. That's why over 130 operators are now using objectionproof.ai to automatically review every single call within minutes, train reps with AI roleplay sessions, and never miss another follow-up. Stop watching your competitors pull ahead while you're trapped doing manager work. Click the link in the description and book a call with my team to see how we can help you install a self-managing sales team this week.
What is my biggest struggle? Imposter syndrome. I always struggle with it. I always do. Every time as I sit here and I think about the other people that I admire that have written books to help other people, and you struggle with like, well, who am I to do this? Every time I go to an event and I'm speaking and you're in front of, some massive people behind you, you're like, what am I doing here? And how I reconcile that within myself is I take a deep breath and I say, look, if there's 2,000 people out there, if I can really, really, really help one of them, it was worth doing. And that's the goal. But yeah, I think anybody that's honest says it's got to be imposter syndrome as you level up.
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Really?
Yeah. That's been that's one of the things that's hardest for me to understand, honestly.
Really?
Imposter syndrome. And it's because for me, you're a very confident person. Obviously, you have not lacked for confidence. But the thing that, we talk about like superpowers, that was what my friends have always said, was the irrational confidence. Like, I think I deserve everything I get, right? It's crazy. So I'm probably broken, right?
No, I love that. No, I love that.
But if it helps, there are plenty of authors that are complete failures in life. Best-selling authors.
This is a good point.
Right? So if you're trying to measure, like, what do I do to deserve this? The reality is, like, there are some authors that were they truly qualified to write that book? Like, today's social media is the equivalent of like the 80s, like, I'm a published author.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So if that's the problem, just remember there are a lot of authors there so you're more accomplished than a lot of other authors out there.
You know what else terrifies me?
What's that?
And this, you'll appreciate this based on what you said. The thing that scares me the most of anything really is, am I a narcissist? Mm-hmm. And I'm always like, every time I see one of those, are you a narcissist mm-hmm. test? And I'm always like, because it just, and I think the funny thing about it is the fact that I'm worried about being a narcissist prohibits me from being a narcissist. Like that'd be like, if you're even concerned about it, you can't be.
I've had that fear.
Have you?
And that's what they say to me.
Yeah.
The fact they're concerned about it means you're not.
You're not, right?
Okay, that's good.
An irrational fear. Yes, there we go.
That's a relief. And then your superpower, you were saying it was your EQ?
Yeah. So
talk to me about that.
So yeah, when I was a kid, I went through a period in 8th grade where my mouth talked me into a physical altercation that I probably wasn't willing to have, which resulted in me being ostracized from all of my friends and relentlessly teased over that situation for a whole thing. And
was the other person like a lot bigger than you?
Yeah, I don't even remember. He doesn't remember. I wasn't exactly a fighter back in the day. I was a mouthy kid, but I wasn't exactly a fighter. I deserved it. Don't get me wrong. But then my friends turned on me and it really, it was, chicken. It ostracized me for a whole year and it was bad. And that experience showed up in me as people pleasing. So I would say whatever, it really became important to me for people to like me. And I would say, sometimes it was younger, things that weren't true, or be a chameleon to try to become someone that they thought that was true and not being a real person, right? But where that has changed and morphed into my superpower late in life is it's given me incredibly high EQ. Like I absolutely know when somebody likes me or is vibing with me, or I know exactly how far I can push in negotiating deals. Like I can feel it exactly how far I can push the envelope before it breaks. And so I tell people, it's funny, I love when I've gotten more listings with this story, because it's true, than I have with any tool that I've ever had. Because when I'll sit down with somebody that is, selling an $8 million house and they're like, what's different about you than everybody else? And we all use the same stuff. Like there's going to be no difference in the marketing. But here's the deal. I say, I'm the best deal maker you'll ever meet because my superpower is this incredibly high EQ because of this. I know how to make a deal. I will get you the best possible deal. And more importantly, I understand how to get across the finish line because I know exactly how far I can push people. And they're just like, but that's, you don't hear that too often at a listing presentation. And they're like, okay, this dude's for real. And that's my superpower is really being in tune with people. So I took something that was an incredible trauma and weakness for me and turned it into a thing that's incredible resilience for me.
Yeah. Well, I love that.
Yeah.
Ed Milet talks about in his talks, like it was the fact that his dad was this crazy drunk and he had to be able to read real quick tonight, which dad am I getting?
Yeah.
Right? Like, am I gonna get the dad that is pissed drunk and I gotta make him laugh so he doesn't beat my sister?
Yeah.
Right? Or am I gonna get like the dad's gonna be okay, so then I could just be myself?
Yeah.
Right? Like he's like, you had to read within a few seconds what the dynamic of the room is.
Yeah.
Right. And then react accordingly.
Oh my gosh.
Right. But you talk about like the trauma, that forces this, right? Like you probably had an element of it, but now you really got to hone it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I think, so many people want to use previous trauma where they were as an excuse to justify their current situation. And I have never been one to do that. I'll tell you another story about the book that somebody trying to sell books probably wouldn't say, which is I got a review. So if you go with a publisher, there's an organization called Publishers Weekly, which is like the reviewer for like Barnes and Noble and like the people that buy books. And I got a call from my publicist. They said, we got a review. Now keep in mind, my book did incredibly well because they beta tested it to markets and did all kinds of stuff. It did very well in that. And I was excited to get this first like official critics type review. So I get it and I read it and it was not complimentary. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And I'm probably saying like, oh, you're trying to sell books. Why are you telling people they said critics guys sucked? Here's why. I went to bed a little upset about it and I woke up the next morning and I read the review again. And I said, oh my God, I love this review. Here's why. Because the reviewer, keep in mind, it's one person that works for this company that has their view of the world. And they wrote the review and they wrote this. They wrote, occasionally my advice can come off as trite because I don't acknowledge the myriad of systematic issues and I present all problems as solvable. And I was like, you bet your ass I do. Of course, yes, I absolutely do. Because just like this podcast, right? You've probably sat across people that have no business being anywhere near the level of success they've had.
Yes.
Based on where their starting line was. Mm-hmm. But here they are. Because they refused to buy into that bullshit, and they saw all of their problems as solvable and pushed through. And I absolutely believe the same thing. So that's the point.
So you embrace that review.
I embrace it. I love that review. I'm telling you, I literally tell everybody about that review because, of course, now I was a little disappointed that obviously my book didn't change that opinion, but that was a deep-seated opinion in somebody.
Well, yeah, that was embedded.
That's embedded.
That's programming.
Yeah, that's hard programming. Yeah. That they're mad at me because I refuse to acknowledge it. That the man is holding them down or the world is coming to get them or the government is coming to, do whatever.
You're clearly privileged, John. You're clearly privileged.
No, look, I acknowledge the starting lines are always different. Everybody might have a different starting line. But where you wind up is 100% within your control.
Oh, absolutely. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying like earlier. It's like, like everyone's at the level of what they can accomplish.
Yeah.
And that person's level is going to be a little bit different.
Is book reviewer for, there you go.
Yeah. And then I would say, what is your biggest regret or lesson that you learned the most from in your life?
I regret wasting time. I regret not taking control for my own actions and my own trajectory of my life. Because once I started doing it, the results were phenomenal. I mean, just once you really started getting behind yourself and believing in yourself and, like I said, having that North Star, setting a vision of where you want to be and creating core values that align with that, and then having a plan and then actually executing on that plan with a high level of consistency and doing that, it changed my life in every aspect. Yeah. I have a plan for every aspect of my life and it really changed my life. So living in a way where, gosh, it was, every day was Groundhog Day and what's going to happen to John today,
So I would make the argument here that you're the contrarian, right? In this world of personal development,
okay,
you typically hear, what's your biggest regret? And everyone always says, like, I have no regrets because I wouldn't be the person I am today if I weren't for all that. You're the contrarian.
Totally, here. Totally.
So let's dive a little deeper into it.
Yeah.
So, because I've said the same things as well. It's like, look, I have made some boneheaded mistakes, right? But like the biggest mistakes is where I learned the biggest lessons, where I can say next time that won't happen again.
Yeah.
But then you got Keith Cunningham's point of view, which is like, if you can undo your 3 worst financial decisions, where would you be today?
You wouldn't learn anything.
Yeah, you wouldn't learn anything, but you also might be a lot further ahead.
Yeah.
So like,
it's give and take. Like, well, my office is like, people go into people's offices and they have all their accolades and their awards and their stuff up. Mine is like a serial killer's trophy room to my own finances. Like I have trophies of missteps and failures everywhere in my office. And they range from the $100,000 bottle of vitamins we talked about to, things like I have a script from David Flabbot framed on my wall. So
who's that?
David Flabbot was the guy that wrote Will and Grace.
Okay.
He wrote a bunch of the big NBC sitcoms that were very popular. And he had seen me on The Apprentice. And I get a phone call from a casting director that says, David Flabbot would like you to fly to New York and read for the lead of his new sitcom pilot. And I said, what? I'm not an actor.
What's the
They
pilot
said,
again?
it was called Goody's Place was the name of it. Thank God they did not make this show. Thank God, because when you hear the story, you'll understand why. So I get the script. They FedEx it to me. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So they FedEx me the script, and I'm going through it. Never did anything like this. And on page 2, it says, enter Goody Valletta. And the description of the character, that's who they want me to play. The description is mid-30s, kind of doughy, boyish charm, but by no means man candy, is what the description. And at the time, I'm like young, fit kind of dude. I'm like, oh my God, this is what they think of me. This is horrible. Mm-hmm. So I'm reading it a couple pages more, and then in walks his cousin. And it says, tall, loud, obnoxious, think Vince Vaughn from Swingers. And back then, if I had a nickel, before we both looked like chewed bubblegum, if I had a nickel for every time I got compared to Vince, I'd be like, okay, cool. Now, yes. So I was like, I see what has happened here. Mm-hmm. So I go to New York, and I go to this casting director's office, and we walk in, and there's a guy behind a camera, and the casting director is sitting there with a notepad, and say, how you doing? I walk in, I'm like, hi, I'm John Gafford. She's like, hi. And I go, I believe there's been a mistake. Mm-hmm. At which point, I'll never forget, the camera guy goes like this, like that. And I said, yeah, you guys have made a mistake. And she's like, I'm sorry? And I go, yeah, you said this to me, and you said you wanted me to read for this, but I think what you meant was this. And I'll never forget the look on her face. She goes, you can read for whatever you want. I was like, oh no, oh God. So I read for the other thing, and needless to say, I never heard anything else. And when I called my buddy in LA to tell him about it, who was trying to be an actor, he was like, no. Those place things, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Like, you just walked in and pitched them a problem. And the life lesson I learned from that is I don't ever assume I know what anybody wants. Mm. And can you imagine if that would have become like the next Seinfeld? I had to watch that thing. Yeah. It would have been a disaster. Thank God they never made it, but I keep that up as a friendly reminder.
So that was, I was saying, it's not a show? Or
no, they did a pilot, obviously, with I don't even know who was in it, some other actors. But NBC did not pick it up and make the show.
Got it. But the point of that was just to see how compliant you are? Or
No, the point was I went up there and they had asked me, like, I'm a non-actor, and I came up and they wanted me to read for a part, and I assumed they made a mistake, and I walked in and they're like, next. Mm-hmm. There's 8 million people trying to get this part, and you're going to walk in off the street, no experience, and you're going to tell us we made a mistake? Mm-hmm. When we didn't. We really did want you to do what we wanted you to do. You just assumed something different, and that was the mistake, is I assumed I knew what they wanted when I didn't. And so from then, when I'm doing business or I am looking to have a relationship or fulfill something for somebody, I make damn crystal clear I understand what they want.
Yeah, that's
because
huge.
of that.
Huge.
Yeah.
What else? Because it sounds like you got a few of these.
Oh, dude, yeah. So then there's the $100,000 bottle of vitamins. That was when I had left the car business to start the MLM. We had, my sister was at the time the COO for some very large players in Amway, huge players. Like, their territory was all of England and like a huge swath of the United States. Everybody in the downline was part of their thing, and she ran that business. And my sister was like, we can start our own MLM. And it started out with, we were going to do energy drinks. And then the energy drink thing was too hard. So then we're like, we'll do nutritional supplements. Keep in mind, neither one of us knew anything about nutritional supplements. I had my buddy Rick, that was from WorldCom, had played football at the University of Florida, was friends with Emmitt Smith, who had played football also at the University of Florida. So he was like, I can bring Emmitt Smith. We'll have these football players. Great. So I threw in $100,000. We threw in all this money, and then we went and got a warehouse full of vitamins. Built the MLM engine before we ever asked anybody if they wanted to buy one. And take a wild guess what happened, Steve. Nobody wanted to buy one. Right when we launched is when WorldCom imploded.
Oh, geez.
So my buddy went to a very dark place because he just lost everything in that WorldCom implosion. There was no Emmitt Smith. There was no anybody. And we didn't know a thing about selling nutritional supplements. So we ended up throwing almost all of them in the trash over the year, a year and a half later, except for the one bottle that I have on my desk to remind me to don't ever invest in the manufacturing of a product until I am damn sure there's a market for it.
Man, I'm guessing you got a treasure trove.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying.
So we got to wrap up here. So before we do, if someone wanted to connect with you, what is the best way?
I'm everywhere on all the socials at the John Gafford. You can go to my website, www.thejohngafford.com, where you can buy the book, check out the podcast, all that stuff, see where I'm speaking. If you want to check out the podcast, it's Escaping the Drift, same name as the book. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally going to go back and watch the old Apprentice episode.
I'll give you a spoiler alert. I get fired. There you go, just to help you out.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming.
No, Steve, always good to see you, buddy.
Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.
Shout out to Steve Train. Jump on the Steve Train. Disruptors.